welcome back to biology class. So today we are moving on with the first chapter, that is reproduction in organisms. Now in the previous session we had studied the different process which comes under pre-fertilization events. So we have finished with pre-fertilization events. Today we are moving on to the next step, the next stage, which is called as fertilization. Now all of you are aware what is fertilization. That is fusion of male gamete and the female gamete. So this process of fusion we call it as fertilization. Now fertilization, we can also use another term which we call as syngamy. Okay, so syngamy is nothing but fertilization. So we can use any of these words. So syngamy or fertilization is nothing but it's a fusion of male and female gamete. And after the fusion, what is the result? So you know that after the fusion of gametes, what is formed next? It is nothing but a single celled zygote. Okay, so this zygote is formed after fertilization, that is after the fusion of male and female gametes. Okay, now this is the usual normal process which takes place in all sexually reproducing organisms, that is fusion of gametes takes place and a single celled zygote will be formed. Now, in some organisms, we see an unusual process which we call as parthenogenesis. Okay, so what is parthenogenesis? In some organisms like honeybees, rotifers, even some of the birds like turkeys, we see that without fertilization, okay, female gamete will be developing into a new organism. So there is no fusion of gametes here. Female gamete directly develops into a new organism without fertilization, and this process we call it as parthenogenesis. Okay, so what happens here? Female gamete is directly developing into a new organism. Okay, so female gamete directly develops into a new organism but without fertilization. So this is happening, that is development of female gamete directly into a new organism is happening without fertilization, and this process we call it as parthenogenesis. Okay, so this can be a 1-mark question. What is parthenogenesis? An example: honeybees. Okay, some of the birds, example turkeys, okay, or even some of the lizards, okay, and rotifers. All these, any one example you have to keep in your mind, an example for parthenogenesis. Okay, so as I told, this is an unusual process happening only in some of the organisms. Now, I told you what is syngamy, what is the normal process which happens in a sexually reproducing organism. Fusion of gametes take place. Now, where does fertilization take place, or where does syngamy take place? Okay, so where it takes place, depending on that, we classify fertilization into two types. Okay, so fertilization we say it is of two types. Okay, so depending on where does the fertilization takes place, depending on that, we classify fertilization into two types. The first type is called external fertilization. Now, external fertilization, as the name itself it suggests, you can easily guess what it is. That is, fusion of male and female gametes takes place outside the body of the organism. So when we say outside the body of the organism, it means that it happens, fertilization happens in the surrounding medium. So when fertilization happens outside the body of the organism, we say it as external fertilization. Okay. Now in most of the aquatic organisms like algae, and some of the fishes or even the amphibians also, we see that external fertilization takes place. Okay. So when external fertilization takes place, usually what we see is there is a synchrony between the production of gametes and the release of gametes. That is, male and female gametes are released almost at the same time, and the fusion takes place in the water, in the external medium. And we also see that the number of gametes produced will be large in number, okay, because see, the fusion is taking place outside the medium. So there is one disadvantage, that even though zygote may be formed, okay, but they are vulnerable to the predators because they are in the open medium. Okay, so in water, those zygotes may be eaten up by some other organisms. So to compensate all these problems, what happens is, what the animals does is they produce gametes in a very large number. Okay, outside it may be like in thousands. You will see that fusion takes place, gametes, the zygote is formed. Okay, after that it may develop into a new organism, but till it reaches the adulthood, it has a lot of danger because they, as I told, they are like vulnerable to the predators. So till they grow into an adult, okay, so many of, even though it may be in thousand in number, but finally when it reaches the adulthood, we may see that hardly few will survive because others will be just eaten up by the predators. So that is one disadvantage what we see in external fertilization. Okay. Now coming to the next type, internal fertilization. Now internal fertilization means the fusion of male and female gametes is taking place within the body of the organism. Okay. So this type of fertilization, that is internal fertilization, we will see in higher animals and higher plants. Okay, even higher animals like mammals, okay, most of the reptiles, and even in plants, bryophytes, pteridophytes, gymnosperms, angiosperms. So in all this, and even fungi also, okay, we see that internal fertilization takes place. So when internal fertilization takes place, usually what we see in these organisms is the male gametes are produced in large number, but the female gametes are not in the equal number of these male gametes, produced in less number. Okay, because the female gamete is not released. Okay, so the male gamete and it will be usually motile. Whereas in external fertilization, both male and female gametes usually they will be motile. In internal fertilization, you will see that male gametes will be motile. Even now, for example, in the previous session we spoke about the angiosperms. Pollen grains carry male gamete, but they are non-motile. So even though it is internal fertilization, what we see in angiosperms, male gametes are non-motile. Then how is it transferred to the female gamete? Okay, so we have studied in the previous session that pollen grains will produce pollen tube to release the male gamete. Okay, so that is about the two types of fertilization, and this also can be a 2 marks question. Now next we are going to study the third main event which takes place under sexual reproduction, that is a post-fertilization events. So all the events which takes place after fertilization, we put them under post-fertilization events. So under this we are going to study about the zygote, okay, and embryogenesis. So these are the two things which we study, that is formation of zygote happens during fertilization, and the zygote is formed and then it develops into embryo. So all that we are going to study under the zygote and embryogenesis. So first let's start the study about zygote. Now when we say zygote, you know that it is after the fusion of male and female gametes, zygote is formed, and it is the universal step in every sexually reproducing organism. Zygote will be formed whether it is a plant, whether it is an animal, whether it is fungi, okay, whatever. But any organism which undergoes sexual reproduction, we see that zygote will be formed. Now where will the zygote be formed? Again, it depends on the type of fertilization we see in that particular organism. That is, if the fertilization has taken place in the external medium, okay, that is in the external fertilization, if that is a thing, then zygote will be formed in the external medium. If fertilization has taken place internally, that is internal fertilization, then zygote will be formed within the body of the organism. So where the zygote is formed depends on the type of fertilization. Okay. Now what next? What happens to this zygote? Now we see it depends from species to species. That is, for example, if we take algae and fungi. Okay, so in algae and fungi, you will see that the zygote will not show the further development immediately. It will secrete a thick wall. Okay, so the zygote will not show the further development immediately. It will develop a thick wall around itself. It undergoes a period of rest. Only after that you will see that the germination takes place. So this thick wall will protect it from the any external damage or desiccation. Okay, so after taking a period of rest, then you will see that the zygote will germinate. The further development takes place. That is in case of some of the algae and fungi. Now in your previous year syllabus, you studied about plants which show haplontic life cycle. Okay, so in those plants, that is which shows haplontic life cycle, okay, so in this you will see that zygote will undergo meiosis. Okay, so in the plants which show haplontic life cycle, there when zygote is formed, that zygote will undergo meiosis. Okay, to form haploid spores. So those haploid spores is again, I hope all of you remember what we had studied in the previous year syllabus, haplontic life cycle. Because the plant body is haploid, because of that you will see that zygote will undergo meiosis, haploid spore is formed, and that spore will develop into a new organism. Okay, so that is when the plant is undergoing haplontic life cycle. Okay, so whatever zygote, we say that it's like a vital link between one generation and the other generation. It ensures the continuity of species. Okay, so it is seen that in all the sexually reproducing organisms, zygote will be formed. What happens next to the zygote again differs from species to species. So that is about the zygote. Next, we will study about the next event, that is embryogenesis. Now, what is embryogenesis? So, this zygote should develop into a multicellular structure which we call as embryo. And the formation of embryo, the process of formation of embryo from zygote, we call it as embryogenesis. So, what is embryogenesis? It is the process of formation of embryo from zygote. Okay, so it is the process of formation of embryo from zygote, which we call as embryogenesis. So a single celled zygote will undergo development to form embryo. So during this embryogenesis, during this process, we see two main things happen. What are they? One is cell division, which happens during embryogenesis, and the next one is the cell differentiation. Okay, so during embryogenesis, a single cell zygote has to develop into a multicellular embryo, and that process we call it as embryogenesis. Now, during embryogenesis, these two things happen. One is cell division, and the one more thing what happens is cell differentiation. So, during embryogenesis, cell division should happen. That is, a single celled zygote should become a multicellular embryo. So, cell division should happen. Now, what is cell differentiation? So, you know that cells, the group of cells will undergo modifications, different changes happen in the cells, and they develop into particular tissues, and the tissues develop into a particular organ. So that we call it as cell differentiation. So that also should happen during embryogenesis. Okay, so cell division and cell differentiation, these two things happen during embryogenesis. Animals are categorized into two groups, oviparous, viviparous, okay, and they are categorized based on whether the zygote is formed outside the body of the female or whether inside the body of the female parent, okay, and also whether the eggs fertilized or unfertilized, but whether the eggs are laid or whether a young one is given birth. So keeping all these criteria, these animals are classified into two groups. Now, what are oviparous animals? In oviparous animals, example reptiles and birds, you will see that fertilization takes place internally, okay, and a calcareous shell. Okay, a calcareous shell is formed around this egg, okay, and this egg is laid into the safe place in its habitat. Okay, so all of you have seen birds and reptiles laying eggs. So these eggs are fertilized eggs which are laid into the surround, that is into the habitat in a safe place. And after a period of growth, which we call as incubation period, this egg will hatch out, okay, and the new organism emerges out. Okay, that we see in oviparous animals. Example, reptiles birds. Now, what are these viviparous animals? Now, in viviparous animals, we see that the growth of the zygote into embryo takes place within the body of the female, and the whole growth takes place within the body. Okay, so proper embryonic care is given. The young one grows within the body of the female. After a period of growth, the young one is delivered out of the body of the female. Okay, so that we call it as viviparous, and majority of the mammals are viviparous, where they give birth to the young one. Okay, so when we compare this and this, in viviparous animals, we see that the survival of the new individual or the new organism is much more, the chances are more, because in viviparous animals, the young one is proper embryonic care is given, okay, and the protection, because it's within the body of the female parent. So because of this, you will see that the chances of survival of the young one is more in viviparous than the oviparous animals. Okay, so this, depending on the zygote formation and embryogenesis, okay, we classify animals into oviparous and viviparous. Okay, now let's see what happens in plants. Now in plants, after fertilization, okay, zygote will be formed within the ovule, and in plants also, once fertilization happened, okay, so after fertilization, you will see that the petals and sepals, okay, so both petals and sepals will wither off. Okay, petals and sepals will wither. So usually in almost all the species, you will see that the petals and sepals will wither after fertilization. Okay, then you see so many changes happening then. That is, zygote is developing into embryo. Okay, so zygote develops into embryo. And you know that zygote is present inside the ovule, and ovule will develop into seed, and ovary will develop into fruit. These are the major changes which happens after fertilization in plants. Okay, zygote becomes embryo, develops into embryo. Ovule develops into seed, and ovary into fruit. And the fruit will have a thick outer covering, which we call as pericarp. So pericarp is nothing but it's a protective covering which we see in fruits. Okay, the outer covering of the fruit, we call it as pericarp. Okay. Now, you will see that after the formation of fruit and seed, okay, you will see that the seed will be dispersed, okay, and the seeds will fall into the soil. It will germinate into a new seedling. Okay, so that is about the post-fertilization events which we studied, what happens in animals and what happens in plants. Okay, so first chapter is completed. That's all for today. Let's meet in the next session. Thank you.